Hi, this is Mark Spears with Atlanta RV. I'm out here at a campground on site doing an on-site repair of a KZ Sportster fifth wheel motor RV. So, I want to talk to you about Slideout. We replaced I replaced the motor and gearbox on this Slideout. Here's the main living room Slideout. We had put a Slideout cover on it, and the slide was working what appeared to be normally ahead of time. We put the Slideout cover on and the gearbox started jumping teeth. So went into root cause analysis mode. I took it all apart, ordered a new assembly from Alco, A-L-K-O, and the new assembly comes with this base plate here, and then also the motor assembly with a brake on it, and then comes with this gear, which is it's a larger gear with bronze bushings here. It also comes with a new cover plate, but because this main plate was welded to the RV, I couldn't replace the entire assembly without cutting the welds out and re-welding. So what we did, because they're interchangeable parts, it's the same part number, is I left the existing base on the unit, installed this new installed the new cover, installed the new gear and the new bull gear. Of course, this is all the old stuff. But when we went into what really caused this situation, you can see all the play in this gear. See how much it moves, and see it's those bronze bushings are worn. If you look closely, you can see where they're grooved, where they should fit tightly in the holes, and they don't on either side. So the bushing to the housing and also the bushing to the gear itself. So we ended up seeing that the gear was moving, and then the gear that meshes against it here from the motor, as that started moving and shaking around, it actually ended up breaking the motor housing where the gear motor bolts on, because there's a gearbox on the motor itself. This is just an external gear. These three holes where it bolts, the bolts were in here, but where the bolts actually went into the motor, that part of that motor housing broke. So the motor was barely hanging there, and the teeth obviously were not engaging properly, and the Slideout quit working. So it happened pretty quickly after we put the Slideout cover on. A new unit shouldn't do that, shouldn't have a problem with having a Slideout cover, but one of the issues with gearboxes like this is that they can work fine under normal light loads over a long period of time, but this wear and tear that was happening over time kicked in and bit us in the butt when we actually put the Slideout cover on. So as you can see now, we've got the Slideout. I've run it in and out with the motor. It's working normally. On this job, we actually had some additional modifications. Let's walk over here and I'll show you what that gearbox looks like now with the original base plate and the new cover plate. That's it right there. So the original base plate, everything there is new except the base plate. Got the new motor, the gear on the motor is new, the gear inside the housing is new, the bushings are new, and the brake, of course, that comes on the motor is new. One of the things that you have to do on these KZ units is this long tube that connects the gearbox down to the pinion, the rack and pinion gear, is a square tube. It's two square tubes. Now it has a special end welded on that's round that goes onto the pinion gear, but it's held on with a pin. Down at this end, it just sits on that star-shaped assembly we saw on the other gearbox. But this long shaft, consisting of a larger tube and a smaller tube inserted into it, were welded together on the original unit. So we actually had to cut the small tube short of the weld, and then I had to purchase new tubing to slide over it. I left about a 6-inch overlap, and then we drilled a hole to put in another pin and cotter pin. So that's the extent of the repair here, and we had to do the same thing on the other end. Down there you can see that two-piece assembly Used to be a welded joint. The problem with the welded joint is